Hi there, I'm Randy Patterson. This is another in a series of posts on cognitive distortions. These are ways that we routinely misperceive the world around us. We're looking here at the screen between external reality and the world we perceive and how reality changes on the way in. This time, overgeneralization. Why do we have such a complicated brain? In large part, it's to help us understand the world. But that begs the question, what is understanding? Well, to a great extent, this is the ability to take the huge number of complicated details and occurrences in everyday life and develop general principles about them. Things like, water is often deeper than it looks, or bears can be ill-tempered, or wearing gloves can really help against the cold, or we have to have a life jacket before we can go rowing. We have to have these rules or general ideas about the world, and as you can see from these examples, we must have an enormous number of them to account for a variety of different situations. And to the extent that they're accurate, they can be tremendously helpful in our lives. And we tend to develop these rules partly outside conscious awareness. We don't even know we're making them. Inevitably, some of our rules are false or unhelpful or too absolute. So how do these principles develop? Imagine that you're a cave person and you and your group go to the lake to fish. And it turns out that at this lake, there's a saber-toothed tiger who kills one of your group. A few months later, you go back to the same lake and the same tiger, or maybe a different one, kills another member of your group. Sooner or later, you will develop the idea that this lake may not be the greatest place for fishing. We take momentary examples of experience and we fashion general principles to guide us in the future. We get the idea that this lake is a bad place. Maybe it will even become a kind of religious taboo against going to that particular lake. But we're going to make some mistakes. We go to another lake and a meteor falls out of the sky and kills a member of our group. We might decide that this lake is a dangerous place. But it isn't, no more so than anywhere else. We avoid that lake and those fish due to a mistaken rule. We have overgeneralized from that one event to a restrictive rule that isn't really valid. So overgeneralization means prematurely taking a bit of experience and making a general rule or principle that isn't actually true, or isn't true as often as we think it is. This is partly how prejudice and bigotry develop. You know, is there such a thing as a criminal white person, or black person, or Catholic, or atheist, or gay person, or a straight person? Of course there is. But what if we take the example of a dishonest, Irish woman and conclude that all Irish women are evil? We've overgeneralized from one instance to a general rule. Now, these overgeneralized ideas are usually self-perpetuating. Let's say you've decided that Irish women or gay men or Mormons are bad. You'll probably avoid them. So your future experience of those people will be very limited. You won't find out about nice Irish women because you avoid the Irish. There's another phenomenon working as well, called the confirmatory bias. Once you have a general rule like this, you will process information selectively. When you hear about an Irish woman who's part of a terrorist group, you'll remember that and it will support your theory that Irish women are evil. When you hear about an Irish woman who founds a children's charity, you won't take that as evidence of anything. Or you might think she's just setting up a scam and is going to run off with all the money. So once we come up with these rules, right or wrong, they tend to get stronger over time. What about when we're talking about beliefs about our own life? Let's say you try to organize a family dinner and 2 people cancel out at the last minute. You might come up with a general rule that family dinners are impossible and it's futile trying to bring people together. So what do? You stop trying. And what happens? Well, you never have an experience of anything different. And as a consequence, the rule sticks with you. Overgeneralization tends to bring about rules that restrict your life and your experience. As a result, you don't get disconfirming experience to correct these mistaken rules. Let's say you fall off a horse the first time you try riding. That's not so bad. But you develop the rule that you can never learn to ride. It's just not in your ability. Horses are out for you. So you never ride again. And you never discover that you could learn to ride if you stuck with it. Many of those things that you think you cannot do, or are beyond you, or that you think you hate, you avoid. And as a result, you never discover that actually you can do them. They're not beyond you, and you can actually come to like them. Overgeneralization, then, creates a smaller life. To counter all of these distortions, it's helpful to have phrases that you can use to remind yourself that your mind plays tricks on you. In the case of overgeneralization, it helps to remember that most rules don't always apply. Most Irish women aren't actually all that bad. Most horses aren't malicious. And maybe you can learn things and come to like them if you stick with them. So the phrase I suggest is, there are absolutely no absolutes. So that's another of the ways that we distort the outside world. In coming posts, I'll provide a description of more of these common types of distortion. See you then. My books, including the Assertiveness Workbook, How to Be Miserable, and How to Be Miserable in Your 20s, are all available from bookstores and online booksellers. There's information about each of them at randypatterson.com, and my online courses can be found at psychologysalon.teachable.com. Thanks for watching.